one of the blames that have been, well, assigned to the central government, of course, the economy being managed by the economic management team, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for which you're one of the lead people in his office, as well as the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is that they put the central bank governor at a very compromised position. Now, apart from that, he's been asked to resign. What have you to say about that decision that has been made based on the position of the minority that the central bank needs to resign?
Yeah, so I just want to stress that their position is based on the fact that there are losses and there's allegation that some laws have been violated. And again, let me reiterate, 36 of the Bank of Ghana Act has stated that when there are government is exceeding this 5%, finance minister should submit a report to Parliament, not to go to Parliament for approval.
That's not true.
Let me read. For the purposes of emphasis.
Why was it?
Temporal advances, Section 36. In the event of any emergency, the governor, the minister, and the controller and accountant general shall meet to decide the limit of borrowing. That should be made by government, and the minister shall submit a report on the issue to Parliament within 7 sitting days. Okay, that is the law. The law is not saying that you should go and seek parliamentary approval before exceeding the limit. 2, I would just ask a sister of mine to come for her stone, because she told me that Honorable Murtala would blackmail us on this issue, raise sentiment, try to raise the better term, argumentum ad hominem. Okay.
Big English.
He would also try to play on, in the words of Kukubako, the emotional keyboards of Ghanaians. And that's essentially what he has done on
the
this
emotional
morning.
Keyboards of Ghanaians.
Yes, that's essentially
because we have a report by the central bank indicating that it's in a very impaired or perilous
I'm coming
position.
to that. That's what we are discussing today. And when you are asked to discuss that, you would, for the help of the Ghanaian people, try to devoid the emotion, try to push people so that they will not appreciate the reality. Either than that, when you find yourself in the same situation like he found himself some years ago, where he was having the responsibility to explain to the Ghanaian people on the happenings on the economy, he was finding it difficult because they had set a tempo that is to say that play to the emotion of people and don't let them appreciate the issues. Now, when you find yourself in the unlikely event, maybe in the next 20 years, maybe or so, if they come to power.
Mama, let us appreciate the issues.
When they come to power, they will have that difficulty. So, one, let us run away from that emotional game and face the issues. Now, the central bank. The economic management team hasn't put the central bank in any difficulty. Okay? The central bank has a responsibility to the nation. And the Mr. Addison and his lieutenants only supported this rule in terms of how they are supposed to manage or support the management of the economy.
By flouting the regulations?
No, point to me which of the regulation has been flouted. Okay? And we are a law-abiding country. If you feel that Mr. Addison has flouted any law, the courts are there. You can put him to the court and make sure that he is set charge or he's removed from the office. But if you cannot find any law he has flouted, you don't say that he has flouted any law. We can raise moral issues, which is allowed. Raising moral issues about how much is spent on travel.
Are you saying that the issues being raised, not only by the opposition NDC, but also leading economists, some of whom might have taught you as well in the leading universities, as well as even the think tanks of Ghana, moral issues? Is that what you're saying, Dr.
I am saying that if an issue is not born out of law, okay, then the only argument you have on it is on morality. Because we are law. You haven't
answered my question. No?
That's the answer to your question. No. You have asked me.
I'm asking you. Are you saying that all the leading economists, Professor Bokpin, we have Lord Mensah, John Kwachi, etc., all only raising moral issues?
Which of them has raised a legal issue, and what is the legal issue?
A violation.
Okay, that's the point I'm making. If you cannot point to me,
I've pointed.
If you cannot point,
give me section 30 by way of the graphic.
And I'm saying section 30, and if you read text 30, go to 36 and read that as well. Okay, so that was going to help us. But you cannot pick a part of the law and read it, and you leave a remaining part of the law when the law is a complete document. that if you read it without in disconjunction with other provisions, you get it wrong. So that is the part. Now, back to the central government. The central government only manage the fiscal handle of the economic management.
Section 30, it's on the screens now. And you're saying that exceeding 5% of the total revenue of the previous fiscal year, even though consistently before this fiscal year, there were the signs on board, on the ground, indicating that the central bank could be impaired due to the actions, the economic decisions being taken by the central government, managed by, of course, its economic management team leader as well as the finance minister, could impair the central bank, not being listened to.
I will help you with the explanation if you let them project 36.
No, we are projecting this.
Okay.
Let them quoted verbatim and
this we've quoted it also verbatim, and you've used it to stress a point. And I'm saying that it will make more meaning. The people out there will appreciate our argument more if you let them project 36 as well. So for me, let's raise the moral issues of we are in a difficulty. Government could have, central bank could have been a bit, restrained in terms of some expenditure. If we raise them and we come to the details, for me, I will very much agree with the people. But if you don't want to raise a legal issue, that issue must be founded in law. And if you don't have basis for it in law, I will hear and I'll defend the law that none of the laws of the country has been violated by the central bank. And if there's any violation, the constitution provides a remedy that if you feel that anyone is doing anything which is at variance with the laws of the country, the record is in the law court. Okay, so that is the point we need to establish. 2, the central bank spending was not something that was done illegally. They have mentioned to you that some amount of money, some 40 billion were lost through, the haircut as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. Because some 50% haircut was exerted on the COVID bond that central bank held. Non-market and marketable instruments were all part of their portfolio of instruments they held. Okay, so if you have a program that is affecting everyone, and the central bank is so affected, what is the crime the central bank has, committed in this regard? I have not seen any crime being committed. Now we can come to domestic and foreign travels and question the numbers. But have you asked ourselves, wait for the report of Parliament to come out? They are domestic travels. Those of us who are privy to the numbers, you ask them whether they were the ECOWAS Parliament or World Parliament. This Parliament of Ghana, he's a member. He's a member of committee. They do regular travels. Okay, when we begin to ask the question, you'll be candid to the issue. You'll be fair to Parliament if you ask how many travels did you embark on? What were the purpose of those travels? How many people went? How much did you pay for each travel? It is in these numbers, the details, the devil is in the details. It is in this number that you can honestly, frankly discuss the issue. But if you don't go to the details, you just take a lump sum and you throw it out there, 90 billion, 90 million, and you say that if you divide it by 1 million, we can give a primary school to Kulukuli Primary School. Okay, that is the emotion. Okay, that is the emotional bit of it. Try to ask the central bank, come with further and better particulars. Let us know the basis, the justification for each and every of these particular, lump sum we have had in the report. And the auditors have not raised any issue with the propriety of those expenditures. They have not raised any issue with the propriety of they have only raised issue with the losses. They have not gone to question that 42 million you spend on so and so was outrageous. The report would have indicated that because it is a report that is supposed to identify propriety in expenditure. So if the report has not highlighted any of this issue, then you then go to sit down and put your own meaning.
All right.
And ask the central bank to resign on that.
I'll take a cue from the finance minister who came to Parliament and said, an effort in discretionary expenditure will be undertaken within the fiscal period. Now, if you take what the report does indicate, please put it on the screen for me. We have to ask the question, where lies that initiative, the promise to the Ghanaian people that government itself, quasi-government institutions themselves will be exercising that power of discretion because the country is at its knees as far as the economy is concerned. And so decisions in expenditure at all levels of government and quasi-government institutions will be taken prudently. If you take a look at these itemized expenditure, personal costs, foreign and domestic travel, motor vehicle maintenance and running, communication expenses, etc., where lied the power of discretion?
First and foremost,
shouldn't it be a moral question which we should be asking
Walker,
ourselves?
don't conflate the financial and government containment of expenditure in terms of central government with that of central bank.
Are you saying the central bank is living in isolation of what's happening in Ghana?
I want to stress that the law governing this does not even allow the finance minister, okay, to go
made my point.
into how much of the central bank spend or do not spend.
I have not said the finance minister needs to get.
No, I know. I'm not saying
that
that's what you said. I'm only
what's the spirit and then the moral and what everybody's thinking in the country is we need to cut our quote according to our size.
I agree, and I'm just saying that.
So you agree?
I agree that
yes.
The spirit of that statement requires that everyone at every level, micro and macro.
And if the Bank of Ghana is not adhering to that, shouldn't you be worried as a development economist?
In the first place, I cannot see here to determine whether the expenditure that that has been reported is in adherence. Because we don't have the counterfactual. We don't know how much they would have spent, but for that particular statement. And if I don't know that, I'm not privy to that, I cannot give you an answer with certainty that this expenditure is far in excess of what they have spent, but for that directive. But I'm just making the point that when you want to look at the government directive was followed to the letter largely by the central government, and the central government has demonstrated that in the mid-year budget review that expenditure was contained and that we have recorded primary balance surplus of 1.2% of GDP, which is as a result of expenditure containment. Okay, that is on record. So that statement was largely adhered to by the central government. The finance minister, the president of the republic, had done that exactly. Now, if you are coming to the issue of the Bank of Ghana expenditure, that is why I say let's give the central bank the benefit of explaining. So the benefit of explaining.
So he's defending them now.
No, I'm not defending. Look, the central bank has its autonomy.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Backed by an act.
Backed by an act. Okay. And that autonomy requires that when issue happens, you give them the benefit of coming out to explain their issue. Again, there is no impropriety that has been mentioned in the expenditure. If there was any over-bloating of expenditure, if there was any pardon of some expenses, the report would have highlighted and would have been discussing those issues. But if we are just discussing quantums, okay, because you find out that no person should have spent some 9 million Ghana cedi or 8 million Ghana cedi in remuneration, you ask yourself, how many directors do we have? How often do they meet? Even if they don't meet often, what is the monthly remuneration of directors? Do that per person and multiply that by the year. You will have an appreciation of whether the amount so stated is in line with reality or not. But if you don't do that, and you just decide to say that, okay, 8 million is too outrageous, you are not. You
don't think it's
I don't think that it is
exceedingly outrageous.
Well, I don't think
exceedingly outrageous.
I don't think that the position that I have been placed in, the sense of judgment and reason, the benefit of knowledge God has given me, I will make such a determination without getting to the details. Okay, and that for anyone to go into the determination of the propriety or otherwise of expenditure without questioning the details, without being privy to the nitty-gritty of those factors, is being disingenuous, is not being fidel to the knowledge that God has even bestowed on the person. That's the first point I want to make. And my brother knows that rationality,
please end for me.
Prudence requires that he question the details, because the details will help you appreciate whether a certain line of expenditure was not necessary or it was necessary, and whether or not even the amount, the rate per each item line is reasonable or not reasonable. So that is the angle we need to go in terms of this discussion. But on the whole,
you're laughing, eh?
I'm laughing because
there, it says shall not. Shall not is obligatory.
Obligatory.
Which provision?
Anyway,
which provision?
In the Act.
Which provision? No, you are saying which
no,
act?
no.
Which provision in the act?
I just read to you the provision in the
No,
Act.
no, which provision?
Let's go to the one before.
Can I have my
No, which provision?
Okay,
no, because
You've been talking.
At this point in time,
Yes.
the question will be asked also from the opposing side, those in government. Why should the central bank governor resign? And then, if you look at the Act, there are ways by which the central bank governor could be removed from office.
Well, I think that first and foremost, my brother needs to apologize to your viewing public for insulting them. He has just insulted your viewing public and unfortunately insulted the people of this country. He says that what I sought to do was to play to the emotions of the Ghanaian people and to dwell my argument on morality. The viewing public understands how they feel than you. So when you do that, you are suggesting that they don't have minds of their own except what I say on this program. So I would humbly expect you to apologize to the viewing public for attempting to insult them. You remember there was a day I said on this program, I said the MPP, in fact, President Nanado and the entirety of his corrupt appointees and incompetent appointees think that the people of this country are a bunch of idiots. That's how they look at us. But we are smarter than them. Why? I come to sit on a program, I raise my issues as allowed by the democratic space. Your viewing public have the right to decipher between what I say and what you say and come to their conclusion. And that's why those of us who like reggae, you know Joseph Hill's culture, he says that there are three sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth. I sit here to present my side of the story. You present your side of the story. The public will know the truth. We haven't said anything here that is not captured in the annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana.
You say you're playing to the emotional.
Hold on. Now, this argument of the law accepts it, we are arguing on the basis of morality. Where is it coming from? At least I have the benefit to have done LLB. Laws are anchored on morality. So this idea of the argument that people say that it is not illegal, any action that is morally wrong in any society can be deemed to be illegal.
It has to be codified.
Hold on. You see, I made a point here another day.
Let's stress on that. I think you need to stress on that.
Here, you see, the law itself, the framers of the law itself know that people can smartly use the same legal instruments to rob the state. During the Nuremberg trial, after the Nazi Germans barbarously murdered people, you know what they said? When they were tried, they said they didn't commit any wrong. They didn't do anything wrong.
Because you know what they were right.
They said that the laws, the Nazis' laws, permit what they were doing. I did philosophy, level 100, level 200 in University of Ghana. And there's anybody who did philosophy, you do morality. The difference between us and animals is what in us called ethics. You find a dead body, someone is knocked by a car. Flies will fly over that dead body without even animals will pass. But as human being, even if you won't stop, there will be something in you that will prick you to stand and watch or help the person. So when you argue on the basis of nobody, violated any law, that's why I ask you a simple question, Kabiru, Dr. Kabiru. If it is your money, will you spend 32 million, assuming Bank of Ghana was your property, a private entity, you own it? Would you have spent 32 million Ghana cedis annually on communication? 32 million, is it the statement they issued? Have you ever seen Bank of Ghana? How many press conferences did they hold the entire year? Will you spend 32 million Ghana cedis on that? Now again, the argument of the over expenditure, we are juxtaposing that because you have used very big words today. We are juxtaposing what the percentage increase in the expenditure against how much they spent last year. Some of them over 240%. Some of them over 114%. And we are raising this issue because the governor of the Bank of Ghana knew the precarious situation in which they were. Why did they go ahead to overspend in that manner? Now, if my salary, now we are all doing, those of us who eat gobe, Dr. Kabir and Co., they are not fan of gobe. Those of us who eat gobe now, you take your salary, you manage. Take your average employee here. I know that some of the people who work, they don't even pay them well in state institutions, less private institutions. The person get the salary. The person would have calculated how much I'm going to use on transportation, how much I'm going to use on feeding. Now, if the person is paid well, or some allowances have been added, he may have the luxury to take Uber. But if the allowances are reducing, the person will not, even he would have loved to take Uber, but he will join Trotro. So when you argue that nobody violated any law, yet you are not looking at the issue of the over and outrageous expenses.
And context.
At a time when you had those challenges, people expected you to be modest in your spending. You didn't do that. I want you to look into this camera, myself and you. We are all coming from part of the country where economic conditions, per the statistics we have, are extremely unacceptable. Dr. Kabiru, if you are the owner of Bank of Ghana, and as a practicing Muslim, I did argue with him this year, I want you to look into the cameras and tell me whether if you were the owner of Bank of Ghana, you would spend 32 million Ghana cedis on communication. You would spend 8.6 million Ghana cedis on remunerations of your directors. You would spend $250 million to put up another office when you have office that already in which you are doing some work, and taking into consideration the circumstance, whether you would do that. I want you to look into the cameras to tell me that whether you are happy that the very year they were spending these outrageous monies, 850,000 Ghanaians were pushed down the poverty line. 850,000 Ghanaians. And I can bet my last penny. A lot of them will come from where me and you are coming from. And that is why I think that it is even jihad. And not those who misinterpret and misunderstand jihad. It is even just to fight for the cause of the poor. To fight for people who do not have money. School of Hygiene. 24 months. The allowances haven't been given. 24 months. And don't you think that the monies that outrageously have been spent on some of these things could have been used for that? Car vehicles and maintenance. 97.4, foreign and domestic travels. Is it not the same government who told us that they have asked ministers and deputy ministers not to engage in travels because they want to reduce costs? The same minister, your boss, Dr. Baumia, was saying it. That they have asked ministers and deputy ministers and government appointees.
And the Bank of Ghana is an independent institution.
That even makes our case stronger. Now, if he argues, thank God for reminding me, I nearly forgot. If he argues that the Bank of Ghana is independent and therefore they can do anything on their own without the interference of the executive arm of government, why did they overborrow? Why did they exceed that? And he says that no law has been violated. Laws have been violated. And I made reference to you when we mentioned Section 37 of the Banking Act, and you said we should go and read Section 48. It says that come for parliamentary approval. What is so funny about the last statement he made, when he said that the law says that they report to Parliament? I mean, you don't need to have any legal education to appreciate the fact that if it has to do with just reporting to Parliament, then the framers of the law wouldn't have even added it. The rationale behind their reporting to Parliament is that they know that Parliament has the capacity to approve or not to approve. So if he said the law said that they report to Parliament, they just report to Parliament, there wouldn't be any need to report to Parliament. The law says they report to Parliament because Parliament has the capacity to approve or not to approve. Parliament is the representative of the people, and you cannot have a democracy without Parliament. The 275 members, which he wants to push away my sister and join us in the 8th Parliament. What you want to do, the capacity, the powers of members of Parliament is not their powers.
Okay.
It's the people they represent. Dr. Kabiru, don't tell us that because they report to Parliament that it's a violation of that law.
Joe Banner says, Roland, is Dr. Mahama trying to tell us that once the law gives you the discretion to spend, you do so to the detriment of your own people? And see how he's justifying the recklessness with confidence. Now, Bernard Balang says the governor of the Bank of Ghana should resign for posting this laws, law or not. Ejapa Gold. So now, the MPP don't believe in morality. Okay. Now, Robert now says I should ask Dr. Mahama to tell us what the benefits of the huge monies spent have been. They talk too much but do little. And Benjamin says that's Benjamin Tete says they keep provoking people. Now Shaibu Muhammad, you say he deserves a slap. Okay.
Doctor.
All right.
No, he's my kid brother. No, Shaibu, no. We only slap him when
all right.
When he attempts
so
to defeat
Sampiyali says, if you go to 36 of the Act, which makes the violation of the Act criminal and subject to a term of imprisonment, I ask who printed the new currency and at what cost? I have Chris from Ashaliboche who says, it's nauseating listening to the Bank of Ghana governor sometimes. It's the same governor who collapsed some Ghanaian banks because they were in distress. They professed the banks needed 9 billion to survive, but ended up spending over 23 billion to collapse these banks. What is good for the goose should be good for the gander. That's Chris from Ashaliboche. Now, we have this one from lawyer Eric Alifo, who says, good morning. Dr. Kabiru's claim that Section 630 of the Bank of Ghana allows the Minister of Finance, the Controller and Accountant General and the Governor to just decide how much the BOG may finance government budget and merely present a report to Parliament just for the records of Parliament cannot be right. If no oversight is expected from Parliament, the law would not direct a report to be made to Parliament.
In fact, Bank of Ghana in 2016
now,
made even profits.
Nana,
so it's not even true.
Ayimedu from Jubilee House Communications. It says, actually, Roland, the whole Adongo insert you played had no relevance to the subject you are discussing. And I think you need not to end your reading of the Act of the Bank of Ghana Act as Section 31. At least as a law student, you should be minded to read that section of the enactment in whole before proceeding to pronounce judgment.
Exactly.
Nobody has pronounced judgment here. I asked the question. Now I have this from Triddles. Triddles, good morning to you. Times are hard. Unemployed people are on the increase, yet you hear the central bank flouting the regulations with another big word. I'm sure you are paying attention to the big words on the table. Humongous amount of money that can build a factory to employ the citizens of this country. Says it feels ashamed. Now, I have this one from Seidu Salaga. Tell Dr. Kabiru, we understand their modus operandi. That is how you said they steal. We know they do review the loopholes in the law to total disregard to moral and common sense. I have a couple more. And then I have Fortune, who says that I should be careful and that I should allow Mutala to speak. Well, I think I allow him
more than allowed.
Allow him more than you.
Yeah.
All right, let me read just two more. ABA Fuseni.
3 times.
Roland, kindly send my sympathies to, that's from Stephen. Now, I have this one from Don Carlos. We appreciate the good works of TV3 towards the progress and development of Mother Ghana. Doesn't the man in defense of the rot happening at the Bank of Ghana see anything wrong with the component of expenditure towards communication alone being 32 million and other expenditure items? Is the Bank of Ghana now a telecommunication entity or a communication outfit? Allah, we are lost. Don Carlos. Anyway, now let me just get back to basis. Are you ready to win lots of cash every day? So we have the chance to be telling you to be the crowd puller, as also you become the proud winner of cash simply by joining us as far as cash is concerned. So we have cash out, and you have to do that with a short code. We have *439, and you can do that all the time. And let's do some draw before we go. We'll do some draw quickly as possible.
What draw?
Okay. So we have the short code *439. Please save it in. Or you don't do.
I don't do lotto or any
This
form.
is not lotto.
But any form.
This
of
cash out.
Any form of draws.
Cash out. Cash out. It's cash out. Okay, now let's do draw. 3, 2, 1, All right, so we have 0545190. That's the first winner. And then we'll continue with the second. All right, so we'll go to we'll try and call the first one if we can. And then also, let's go to the second draw. Can we have it on screen? 321 cash out. So the next winner with the number 058898, as we have it on the screen. All right, so we'll try. All right, so we'll try as much as possible. Musa Abatwa says, I totally agree with the minority calling for the BOG governor's head. Are you also calling for the two deputies to step aside as well?
All right. If we had the chance, we would have called for the vice president to go. It's just unfortunate that he can't, because he managed them. And if the chief comes home with weird haircut.
All right, so we have the first cash out winner on the line. Good morning to you.
Oh my gosh.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's your name?
Thank you.
What's your name? Where are you speaking from, please?
I'm Esther calling. I'm from Ho.
Oh, okay, you're in Ho.
Oh, I'm so excited. I don't have cream. Oh my God.
Esther, how much did you win?
1,000 Ghana cedis.
Hey, just this morning.
Oh
Charlie. Please, I will send you my mobile number so that you can put some on it for me, okay?
All right.
Esther.
Sure.
All right, if we get the second one, that'll be.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll try and get to the second part. So, apart from Musa Abatwa Aswasi, okay.
Roland, you
now,
Dr. Kabiru was saying that we should praise them for some of the successes they had in 2019. I guess I heard him so. I'm wondering what successes. All the successes this government took in 2017, 2018 was as a result of the NDC, the kinds of things NDC did. In fact, the World Bank itself. Okay. And then the country director.
You always make that point.
No, the country director.
Philip Abochi from says the deputy government.
No, the country director himself
is now getting to the Bank of Ghana and to the point of collapse. Okay, it's your birthday today, Mrs. Jifa Sejro, and it's from myself and then lawyer as well. We greet you very much for looking after us all the time. Now, Amoda Hamidu says the allowances to nurses, etc., should be stopped and channeled into building more hospitals, increasing their salaries, and building affordable houses for both teachers and nurses. And that was speaking to our earlier topic.
The egoistic campaign promise.
Now, let me say good morning to Nikal of North Carolina. We're talking about the United States of America alongside Angela, your wife. I wish you all the best. Dr. Mama, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Welcome for having me.
Yeah, Mutala. We're taking a break. We have a conversation coming up. We have increases in the prevalence rate of HIV, and then we have some of the numbers jumping from one region to the other, and then the age groups as well. We have a big conversation with a key personality at the Ghana Ice Commission. So make sure you stick and stay. We'll also open the phone lines with that interaction, and you can interact with us as far as this is. Please, we're taking a break. We'll be right back.